Hey guys, what is up? Today I come to you, with another weekly review of All Out. And this week's episode 17, we are finally at Suga Dira. Now, remember, this is the place where every single rugby team within the high school division goes to play practice matches and train for upcoming competitions and official matches for 5 days. So our favorite rugby team, Jinko, has finally arrived there, and they're going to be playing up against one of the very few schools that we will be seeing them playing, Tenjinku. Now, to start with, Tenjinku is, from what we were told in this episode, they're a new rugby team. We don't know how long they have been formed, but compared to like schools like Jinko, Keijo, Segami, Ryoin, they are, a freshly newly formatted school, but nonetheless they are known within the Osaka region. Now, of course, Jinko is going there to practice, and that's the first school that they're going to be going up against. Remember, this is not official matches. We have not yet reached towards those type of things as of yet. So we're continuously going to see practice matches. But I think in this case, concerning of, Jinko's position, I think it's better for us to see them grow before we actually get into an official match, because that way we can see where they are versus their opponents. And when the official matches do happen, then we can be really excited about that. So within Tenjinko's team, their team, while they are new, they're not really all that well known, but they're more known than Jinko. Even though Jinko has a longer history within the rugby team, they're still considered the loser school, the school that is not noticed by anyone. So Tenjinku has some few characters that were introduced. Of course, we were introduced to the captain, which is by the name of Sano, the co-captain, Osaka, and we have two more players, Hosian, and then the most known player within their team that actually helps their team be recognized by everyone else, by the name of Sakura Renpei. Now, this character in particular, he has an ego that it can inflate a room. He thinks he is the best, and it doesn't help that the person who's voice acting him has the Zoro from One Piece, Imayoshi from Kuroko no Basuke, and Hishikata from Gintama. It doesn't help at the same time with his voice actor and that he's playing this character. And he plays off as this very cocky guy that believes that he is better than everyone, and he practically looked down on opponents. And he even goes to say, like, he wished he was going up against a more well-known school. So he was disrespecting Jinko, but that's to be expected. Jinko is not a school most people want to play against because they feel like it just wouldn't even be a match. So we saw in this episode just how much they should not be looking down on Jinko, and we kind of focused on a character that a lot of us would not even have given a second glance if we did not see what happened in this week's episode. And the character that we kind of focused on was Kifune from our team Jinko. So as I explained, Kifune is a very plain character. His style is plain, how he looks is plain, and his techniques is plain. But usually the plain characters are the ones that, if you do not look out for them, keep a careful eye on them, they will be the first ones to surprise you. And when they actually match him up against Renpei, because they did say that he was so good that he went to the all Osaka middle school, so he is one of the best players within the Osaka region, and then he managed to get into the school that Jinko's going to. So this guy, his play is that he's a very fast runner, and then his kicks are very amazing because when he kicks a ball, it goes to a very far position. So when you match his character against Kifune, right? Kifune his position is full black. So remember how they explained way early in the series that numbers 1 to 8 play front and they are the offensive players, while 9 through 15 they play in the position of the back, and number 15 is the fullback. So as Coach Kamori explained, the fullback position is basically the last line of defense. You could think of them as the guardian who guards the rear back so that the opposing side does not come and penetrate through the offense and penetrate through the outer defense. So they are the last resort for defending their side of the field. So when we saw Kifune playing, he was always catching the ball that Renpei was kicking. Because remember, Renpei is kicking at a high and long distance. Hence why he is probably one of the best within his region and probably one of the best within the high school division in playing rugby. But Kifune has surprises time and over again how he's capable of predicting where his opponent is going to kick and is easily able to capture the ball. And when he does kick, it's not as long distance as Renpei's kick, but when it hits the ground, you don't know which position it's going to land because the ball bounces up and it's very hard for Tenjiku to be able to secure the ball. And, seeing Kifune, even though we have not really got to know him much, just seeing him get to play and to see his demeanor on the field, that he's keeping a level head, and yes, he is meek. We see how dedicated he is to ensure that Jinko secures a win. Of course, Tenjinku is the better team than Jinko for the time being. They are leading at 7-0, but things have started to turn within the later half of the match, within the later half of the episode. So Tenjinku is starting to notice Kifune's movements, and they're going to try to keep a lock on him because remember, he's that character that if you did not notice him before and when he does something and it surprises you, you're going to want to keep a side glance at him because you don't know what he's going to do, what other trick he's going to put out of his sleeve. So one thing I really liked was when it came down to Tenjinku trying to up their game, Jinko was still keeping a level-headed. They were actually calculating what their opponents were doing. They were reading their opponents versus how we saw them in the beginning of the series where they were just randomly running around just trying to tackle their opponents. They are now starting to read their opponents a lot more. Remember when Coach Komori told them when they were playing against Segami that somewhere along the lines he was saying that when you see your opponents, steal their moves and make it your own. Okay, so that means they have to study their opponents while they're on the field. And remember back when they had the beach episode where they were training, there was the part where the two characters, I forgot their names at the time being, but they were doing the sumo wrestler position. And that's when you get into a ruck. And the sumo wrestler position was where you're kneeling down, you're kneeling down on the ground, and your back is straightened, and when you're about to tackle your opponent, you shoot up diagonally, diagonally, and you tackle your opponent, and then you flip them over, which they used in this match in this week's episode, which actually helped. That means that everything they have been learning under Coach Komori's tutelage, they are actually effectively using within their match. So it goes to show you that Jinko has come a long way. We're going to see how all their training is going to really help them in these matches. And if everybody thinks that this is the same Jinko that came and played against them from years before, then they really should be watching their backs. And it makes me so excited because when we do get matches, they're going to be playing against, Keijo, Ryoin, Segami, this team, and other teams. And yes, I'm excited for when they play these teams, especially with Keijo, because while they are rivals with all the other schools, especially Keijo, it's going to be more on the friendlier competition. But when you think about them playing against Ryoin, probably one of the number one schools within the high school division, and if they continue the path that they're going on, you know how intense that match will be. That will be mind blowing. Like you're gonna have feeling shivers running down your back. You're gonna be shaking within your seat, possibly falling over because of the sheer amazingness the awesomeness that's going to happen within their match. And I cannot wait for when that happens. So next week they're going to continue the match and we're going to see the outcome. And even if Jinko does loses the match, they have gained something way more than Tenjinku has. Okay, so that will better them for when they play against another team that we're going to see in the following episode. So that's all I have for this week's review of All Out episode 17. If you saw this week's episode, do drop a comment down below and check out the links in the description box. Also, I'm going to leave a link towards the creator of All Out, Amase Shiori. She does have a Tumblr, so go check it out. If you have a Tumblr, then you can like and reblog her stuff and probably, bring about make her work well known, so you guys could go do that. And I'm Kimmy Chan of Anime Legends Podcast, and I will see you guys later. Bye!